Writing songs on a guitar is something that everybody that plays a guitar does or tries to do. Well, actually, that's not quite true. But the first thing you try to do is play the guitar, obviously. So when you're trying to learn to play guitar, there are various stages that you go through in practicing the guitar. And when you're trying to write a song on a guitar, it's no real different. There's no difference there. So let's say, for instance, I'm assuming that you've learned a few chords on the guitar. As you want to write a song, you've got to know a little bit sort of basically about how you play the guitar and how to play the guitar. So if I was to play an A minor, okay, and then I'm going to play an E, okay, I'm keeping my fingers in the same place, okay? So basically, it's the same pattern of my fingers, but I'm just moving it across, and I get the same, see? So I do that. So what I do when I write songs, and there's a couple of ways, there's hundreds of ways of writing songs, obviously, but there's two main ways of writing songs, and method one is the one that I use, whereby you keep playing your guitar until you get a sort of a group of chords, I suppose they are. So it's a group of chords, or a chord progression as they use the term, and that you think could be a verse for a song, or could be a chorus for a song, or could be a bridge for a song. And you keep going over and over and over on those until you hone that into some form of section that you think could be a song. Now, that's the one way of doing it. So in other words, you're creating the music first. So you're creating the chords, and then you move on and you think, well, hang on, what's going on here? So I've got that. So now I need to try and come up with a melody line and write some lyrics for that melody line. And that's the way I do it. Now, the other way that you can do with guitar, to create a song, is you can sit down, think of a story, think of something that's affected your life, or something important to you, or just even maybe a news story that's popped into the press, or something that happened to you years and years and years ago. This is not difficult to work out. That's how you write lyrics, and you write those down. Now you've got to write those down in the form of a song. However, you don't have to write them down in the form of a song. You can just write those lyrics down, as in they don't have to be lyrics. It just has to be a story. So if you write your story down, however you write your story down, you can then adapt them into lyrics. But there's a point to it, and that's the whole point I'm trying to make. Now, that's the way I think Taylor Swift does her writing. What she does is she will come up with a story, and then she'll adapt those lyrics. Well, that story, it's not lyrics then, that story into lyrics. Now, a lot of the time, I'm sure she has got some form of tune in her head, a melody line as such, and that's basically the vocal line, the main lead vocal line. And she then probably tries to fit some chords around it. But the way I'm going to show, well, I'm not really going to show you how to do it, I'm just going to show you how I do it, and then you can work out how you want to do it. But the basic fact that what I do is I use chords, chord progressions, and I keep going over and over and over again. Now, the song that I'm going to sort of show you how I wrote this was probably my first, second, third song, so it's very, very old, like me, really. And this is how I wrote this song. So I have a guitar, and this guitar isn't a million miles away from the guitar that I would have probably used as a youngster when I was writing. Now, this isn't a particularly expensive guitar. I actually got this from a reuse centre in Sutton Coldfield. So basically, someone threw it away, and I got hold of it. I paid about £100 for it. and restrung it, messed about with it a little bit, put a new sort of bridge on it, and cleaned it up a bit. Didn't need much of a clean. So it's not a real flashy guitar, so you're not like listening to sounds and thinking, oh, I could never get that sound, because you can, because it's nothing special. But it is a classical guitar, this. Now, I usually write on an acoustic guitar, and there's a reason why I do that, and that's because I like the sound of an acoustic guitar. But for what I'm doing today, and a lot of people, I think a lot of youngsters and people that are sort of starting out writing songs will be going probably for a classical guitar. Now, there's a reason why you go for a classical guitar, and that's because most of the strings, well, all the strings are nylon. Now, these are nylon strings wound with nickel. I think they're nickel wound, silver plated probably, and they're quite easy to press down. So when you're writing a song and it's your first few songs and you're maybe not that proficient on a guitar, then it makes sense to try and make it as easy as it can. Now, the exercise that I was doing when I wrote this song, the one I'm going to talk about, was bar chords. So I was trying to work out and learn how to do bar chords. Now, a bar chord is when you put your fingers all the way across the guitar. And it takes a little bit of practice to be able to do a bar without getting a buzz like that. Okay, so you do have to press down. At the moment, I'm using my second finger to try and help push down a bit more, so I get a nice clean sound. So what I was doing to write this song, I was using my A minor shape, and it's an E. You can do an E with it as well. Okay, now I'm assuming you know what those chords are. But what I was doing to write this song was moving that form. It's a chord form, so it's literally the way I hold my fingers around the guitar. So I'm not really changing much. My fingers are in a similar position, I'm just moving them along one string. So the way I wrote this song is I got up to this, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th fret, and started messing around with the sounds. Sounds like it needs a bit of a tune. There's one of the problems with a classical guitar, they do go out of tune quite quickly. I could go anywhere with this chord pattern, but what I did to write the song, what I ended up doing was this, which is and so I was playing that, and then I thought, I quite like that. So I kept practicing and practicing and practicing, which is what you have to do. You'll get your chord form, your pattern of chords, and you will mess around with them until you think, that's nice. And then, believe you me, if you keep doing that, some form of melody line might spring into your head. And so this is the way I write songs. So I then decided, instead of doing like a strum, I'd try and practice a bit of finger picking stuff and go like this. Still doesn't sound perfectly in tune, but never mind. Hopefully you get the idea. of course you can do it differently. And the thing about a song is it's very, very dependent upon the way, I mean, this is the way I do it, obviously. You can do it numerous other ways, but this method, the way I'm saying, is very dependent upon the format that you get with the sound. So whether you're playing like this or so I just kept messing around with that. And now what you can do as well, you don't have to write a song in one session. It's not essential. In fact, sometimes I think it's probably the best way to do it is to do this, find a chord pattern that you like, record it. Once you've recorded that chord pattern, play it on your phone with your headphones on, and just keep playing it to yourself. So keep listening to that chord pattern. If you think to yourself, oh, I like this chord pattern, this is good, which is what happened with this song. So that is pretty much what it worked out into. And this is the verse chord. Yeah, these are the chords for the verse of my song. Now, I've never released this song actually, but I will do. I think I will do quite soon. But I say it's the first or second song I think I ever wrote. It's very basic, but in a way it's not that basic because you're having to do bar chords, and bar chords can be troublesome. They're not, as I said before, they're not so bad on a classical guitar, but they can be a bit difficult on an acoustic guitar. So I'll swap over to my acoustic guitar. Now this again is not a particularly expensive guitar, this one. This one is it's a Taylor, and it's called a Taylor Big Baby. Now it's a travel guitar basically. So what you can do with this one is you can unscrew the neck, believe it or not, fold it up, sort of. It doesn't really fold up easily, but you leave the strings on it, or you can take the strings off, but that's probably not a good idea really. I wouldn't take the strings off. So just slacken the strings. Obviously you've got to slacken the strings, take the screws off, fold it up. Okay, so it's a travel guitar. So if I try and do the same sort of thing with this one, so again, I went round and round and round and round with that until I suppose, melody line popped into my head. So I was happy with that then. So I was happy with this. Now, as I was just saying, if you're playing this on a classical guitar, the one problem that you've got with the classical guitar is the width of the neck. So, you can't really see that, but the width of the neck on the classical guitar is a little bit, you need quite long fingers to actually do a bar chord on a classical guitar, whereas the neck on the acoustic guitar is thinner. However, on an acoustic guitar, if you're trying to do bar chords, they're harder to push down because they're steel strings. So these are all steel strings, and the ones that come with a Taylor Big Baby are quite heavy gauge strings. And there's a reason. The heavier, it's not always exactly true, but generally, the heavier the gauge the strings, the better the tone you get. You do get a nice tone. You can get especially on an acoustic guitar. So I'm still keeping going along these and this pattern. And I'll keep adapting it and changing it, only slightly, just so that I get more comfortable playing that tune. But basically we're doing this. I'm not really doing much special with my fingers, it's just that pattern. So you got your A minor and D. Now I play by ear. I always have played by ear. So I wouldn't know what that chord was. I know I like it. I know many people out there would know exactly what that chord was. But I just listen to it. And if it's good enough for people like Paul McCartney, then it's good for me. Now, I probably, I never had any lessons on guitar, and it's never really held me back, I have to say. But it is a good idea to have lessons on guitar. I mean, it really is, and you probably should. So as you can hear, I've now got a chord progression. Now, to that chord progression, as we've said, we're going to now try and add a vocal line, really. So I'm going to open up my Word document with some words in, lyrics. So here we go. So I was thinking when I wrote this song, da 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 da. So that's how I would do it. I would just go da 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 da. Da, 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 da. And if you notice, I'm trying to play the chords now easier. I'm not doing me finger picking. That's because I'm working the melody line out. So it's the same chords. It doesn't really matter too much about the way that I play these chords. Because I'm trying to work out a melody line. Do 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 do. La 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 la. So as I said, you just keep going over these. Over and over and over until some form of tune pops into your head. And it doesn't have to pop all in one go like mine just has. Well, it hasn't really popped into my head because I wrote this 40 years ago. But I thought it would be a good way to show you how I did it. And then you think to yourself, well, what sort of mood is this? Is this a ballady sort of mood? Well, it's not exactly an upbeat sort of mood, is it? Not this one, not really. So, but it could be. I mean, you could play it like this. So just by doing that, it's a different type of song. So you'd put a different sort of lyric to it, maybe, or you could even do things like this, like. And the reason why I started at the 5th fret, 6th fret, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th, 7th fret, sorry about that, 7th fret, was because when I got down to the lower part, I could take my fingers off the strings and get a nice sound like that. So I was doing this. See? And it just sounds nice. And that's how I got back up there as well. Okay? But again, it's exactly the same pattern with my little finger down to this finger. But I'm just moving it over. You keep going over it until the tune comes into your head. And once the tune comes into your head, then you've got to add some lyrics to it. So what I was thinking about at that time was, this sounds a bit ballady to me, a bit of a ballad. And so in my day and age, love songs were very, very much, I mean, they still are. I mean, you can never sort of get rid of the old love song thing. So what I did was this. When I've got my arms around you, I can feel your heart is warm. If I need someone to talk to stop me climbing up the wall. Okay, so that was the verse that I came up with. So you got do 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 do, and then this bit. Do da la 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 la. Let me stay down there. Do 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 da na na na. Do 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 do. Now that time I wanted to do a bridge. Now a bridge is basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's basically a bridge between, it's a few bars of music between the verse and the chorus. So I thought, well, hang on, let's keep on this theme here. Let's see where I can go with it. So and that's nice. I like that. So that's pretty much what I did in the end. Yeah. Again, you could record this part, this section. So that's my next chord progression, which is. So there's my next chord progression. And when I got familiar with that and I'm playing it well, however you're playing it, whoops. So once you've got that, then you can try and think of a melody line around it. Now, this is not a technical way of doing it. This is a by ear way of doing it. So I'm just listening to the chords. There are other ways of writing a song where you can actually write down the chord sequence, write it down properly, and you can work out what notes actually fit in the chord that you're playing. So let's say, for instance, you were playing this chord. La, 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 la. So there's lots of notes you can fit in there. But again, you've got to use your ear on my method. You've got to listen to it. So I came up then with something like that. I think I got to there, yeah. Always keep your love around you, yeah. That's what I did, yeah. And you'll never have to fall. And obviously the lyrics came a little bit later, so I was just going do 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 da 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 da. Do 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 no no no. And that was a good way to get back into the. It's like sometimes actually when you're doing a song, you can reuse certain chord patterns and do something different with them and call it a different section of the song. So with this one, what I did is I used the same bit and I called that the chorus, but just did slightly different lyrics to it. So I did this. My feet won't touch the floor. My feet won't touch the floor. No, 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 no. My feet won't touch the floor. So there we've got now a verse. And we've got a bridge, which is the link between the, as I've said before, between the verse and the chorus. And we've stumbled across a chorus as well. So when you put the whole of that lot together, and as I said, you really try and get the chords first. That's what I do. You could do it the other way around, as I said before, but I try and get the chords first. And once the chords are almost firmly fixed in my head, I find that I can free up the complexities of playing the guitar. So it's not always that easy to do whatever it is you're doing on the guitar. But until you've got that to a reasonable level, you're not going to be able to come up with a lyric or even any form of melody line. It's just not going to happen. So you've got to get that. So I incorporate, as I said, creating a song to a practice schedule. So if I'm trying to, as I said before, practice bar chords, which was the case on this song, and work out how I can make a cleaner bar chord, which, trust me, is not easy, especially when you're starting out as a guitarist. It's much easier on an electric guitar because the strings are much lighter. And you can get lighter strings for an acoustic guitar. It doesn't tend to sound quite as good. There's a compromise. There's obviously an in-betweeny sort of way you can get the strings. But so as I said, this is what I did. I just kept going over and over and over again. And this is, I think, what I ended up with. So. Got my arms around you, I can feel your heart is warm. If I need someone to talk to, yeah, to stop me climbing up the wall. Always keep your love around you, yeah. And you'll never have to fall. When you've got your arms around me, yeah. My feet won't touch the floor. No, my feet won't touch the floor. Okay, that's that. I noticed the deliberate mistake where I went up a little bit too high. I got that wrong. And so that's the first verse, first bridge, and first chorus, all done. Now, as I said, this song, if I remember rightly, took me about 30 minutes to write from start to finish. And I think I even got the second verse in as well. I think I got the lyrics of the second verse in. But what I'm trying to say is whatever works for you is the best. It's the best way to do it. Now, what worked for me, as I said before, was putting together the chords first. And it's just literally practicing and playing with, and then doing the lyrics. So I hope this has helped you a little. If it has, if you could comment, let me know, or like and subscribe. I'm definitely not a person that reads lots of music, so I do everything by ear, and I may be expecting that a little much, that other people can do this by ear and listen to what's going on. But I think many of you can. So many people out there have got brilliant ears, and they can use that. Oh, look, there's a cat has appeared. There she is. That's Lara, that is, appeared. She's been listening, haven't you? Eh? So anyway, thank you ever so much, and catch you on my next video. Goodbye.